did it in a way that is sort of difficult to do. I made it hard on myself because similarly, where you start writing about something that troubles you, you think, okay, what is it about a town that I want them to know? Well, I want to know about I want people to know about the botulism lady, which you may not know who that is. The botulism lady is a lady who used to sell. She used to buy or maybe they were given to her, the dented cans from like supermarkets, and would sell them out of her pantry for 5 cents, 10 cents, and it was just a cheap way for people to go grocery shopping. For $1, you can walk out with dented cans, and a lot of them didn't have labels on them, so you thought you were going to eat tuna fish, and it was actually cat food, But so it was always a nice surprise. But no, that was it was a nice way to sort of deal with inventory that wasn't going to go shelved, and yet it was going to go out to people so that they could eat and they could feed their family. You could feed your family on $1.50, but when you start to write those stories, I felt that my biggest challenge was, how do I write that story without preaching? How do I write that story without breaking out the violin, and getting people to, how do you make these stories come to life so that people can identify with them and they don't feel like they're being told, they're not being told a moral. And that was the biggest challenge for me, was to try to say, okay, and I think the best way to combat that is with characters. Then I started to develop my characters, and I would think about who my characters are. And for me, this series and this story that's in Long Island Noir is an autobiographical type of fiction, more so than anything else that I've ever written. I have a novel that I've written that isn't, that sort of just takes snippets of my past and my experiences, but the main plot of the novel is based on a true crime that took place on Long Island. So I almost wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, I do. I get troubled over an idea or a thing I want to write. How do I tell people about what it's like to live at that tipping point where if something wrong happens, you're over the edge? Like, how do you capture that? But because I think people should know that people live like that. So that's
Don't you also think too, on the whole question of autobiography? People often ask questions about how autobiographical is a writer's fiction. I think it's a very interesting question, because I think in some ways anything anyone writes is always autobiographical, in the sense that it comes from you and your being. So that story of the novel that you've written, you must have emotions. It may not be the facts that are autobiographical, but the